Welcome to today's Explainer. So, if you're a grade 7 learner gearing up to conquer those document-based questions, DBQs, you are in the exact right place. Today, we're looking at an epic roadmap for lesson U02 L07, DBQ Review and Transfer. We aren't just memorizing dusty dates here, we're actually building the ultimate analytical skills to investigate ancient history like real detectives. Let's get right into it.
How did ancient societies solve problems of power, belief, and community? Okay, this is our grand puzzle. It's the overarching DBQ prompt we're going to use today to practice our skills. Basically, every single document we analyze is going to help us figure out how early humans decided who gets to be in charge, what they fundamentally believe in, and, well, how they managed to live together in massive communities. So keep this overarching question in the back of your mind at all times.
Okay, let's map out our journey. Here is our agenda for the explainer. First, the grand ancient puzzle. Second, your historian toolkit. Third, the first civilizations. Fourth, the ancient world. Fifth, empires and new faiths. And finally, number 6, your historical legacy.
Section 1. The Grand Ancient Puzzle.
Section 2, your historian toolkit.
Our guiding principle reminds us that, rather than diving into content feet first, align the overview of the unit with standards that meet the basic level knowledge for the course. Okay, time for a quick misconception check. A really common misconception is that a DBQ is just, summarizing a bunch of old documents. Actually, scratch that. That is absolutely false. A true historian uses documents to build a rock-solid, standard, evidence-based argument. It's not just summarizing, it's proving a point. And to build that argument, well, credibility and reliability are literally your most important tools. You'll be evaluating primary sources, which are items or texts that are actually from that specific historical time period, and secondary sources, just to determine if the historical evidence can actually be trusted. Is the author accurate? You are basically the detective, looking at the evidence and judging whether a source is telling the truth. Now your toolkit includes developing proficiency with geographic tools like maps and graphs, learning why geography is important in the real world, measuring and organizing time, and supporting evidence-based reading and writing. The ultimate tool here is corroboration. That means cross-checking those geographic tools, like maps, alongside your written evidence to see if the stories actually match up. Learning why geography matters helps you measure and organize time effectively. You won't just say what happened, you're going to have to support it with evidence-based reading and writing, connecting multiple pieces of evidence together to prove your DBQ thesis. Section 3. The First Civilizations. Imagine applying your toolkit to these two developments. Over in Mesopotamia, they developed the early systems of writing. Meanwhile, ancient Egypt created papyrus to record information. When we're analyzing these as sources for a DBQ, we look at how societies are heavily influenced by technological developments in production and communication. It's a real game changer. But, civilization isn't just about physical inventions. For instance, the Israelite scripture heavily influenced the religions of Europe. When you're transferring your analysis skills to a new text, you really need to watch how ideas, beliefs, and economic principles spread from group to group, and they're shaped by both geographic and human factors. Section 4. The Ancient World. When dealing with multiple documents, historians synthesize the data. Notice how incredible intellectual leaps occurred pretty much simultaneously across the globe. The ancient Greeks developed complex writing systems, early China created paper, and early India literally invented the concept of zero. Corroborating these facts helps us prove our DBQ thesis about how major innovations fundamentally changed social systems and structures. Section 5. Empires and New Faiths. Okay, let's create a worked outline for our DBQ using this rise of new powers and ideas. Your first body paragraph? It could group technological power, so focusing on Romans inventing concrete and using the arch in building, alongside the Islamic civilization inventing algebra. Then, your second body paragraph could group cultural power, focusing on Christians helping shape the West's religious beliefs, while Muslims spread the religion of Islam. Outlining like this groups your evidence logically before you ever even start writing. It makes the whole process so much smoother. Section 6. Your historical legacy. Now for a short evidence-based practice prompt. Using the sources we just outlined, I want you to write a thesis statement that compares the political and cultural systems of two ancient civilizations. To concisely recap our lesson today, true historians explain religious and cultural ideas, trace the trade and diffusion of goods and knowledge, and evaluate the historical legacy left behind to build rock-solid, well-reasoned DBQ arguments.
We started by asking how ancient societies solved problems of power, belief, and community. But now, with your historian toolkit and those fresh DBQ skills in hand, I want you to turn that analytical lens on your own world. How does your modern society solve the exact same problems today? How do we decide who has power? How do our beliefs shape our modern communities? Keep this question burning in your mind as you step into your classroom to write your next masterpiece. Thanks for hanging out with me on this explainer, and I will catch you next time.